We go. Second YouTube live. Let's see if this goes better than last time. I'm just going to set myself up over here. Now, where would I find my live video if that's what I was looking for? Oh, here it is. Journal with me. Alright. Is that set up good? I think it's good. Yeah, everything's in screen. Okay. I'm literally just talking to myself right now. Hello, me. That's fine. I'll hang out with whoever pops up, and I'm just here to journal. Actually, let me grab... I have a bunch of books here, because I've just announced my Virtual Voyage themes, and I'm going to do a bit of a study. I think I might do Monsters, Inc. These are so big. Ooh, and heavy. It's always my hesitation with buying new art, the art of books, or like any of these big coffee table books, is like thinking about moving one day and having to pack them all up and take them with me. Also, this was pretty expensive, and I got this one secondhand. But I'm very excited to dive into this one. Hello, hello, welcome. Hope you're having a fabulous Saturday, or Sunday in Australia, or wherever. Okay, that was the little receipt, I guess. I really like these older concept art books because a lot of them have a lot of traditional concept art in them, but this was about the period where it was becoming a lot more digital, so it's different. But I mean, this is pastel, this is marker and ink. Well, I'll try and put it more on the screen for you so you can see. Hey y'all! I've got my Monsters, Inc. book here. I'm gonna do a bit of a study. So I'm going to choose some things to study. Now that I'm fully out in the open with what we're doing for Virtual Voyage 4, pardon me, got a little cough lolly in. A butter menthol. I just went through a whole pack. And this doesn't just have the like concept art, it also has like, I mean, I guess it is also concept art too, but I was going to say there's one that I saw in here that was actually super interesting where, oh, do you know what, it wasn't, it was the Inside Out one. This one of the, I guess, directors or producers, or maybe one of the artist storyboard people, I'm not quite sure who it was, got their daughter, but drew their day from the perspective of their daughter. This one is super interesting to me, actually, the Inside Out one. It's very cerebral. And it was interesting to see the perspective of the daughter, and the kind of worldview that like a 2 or 3-year-old might have. Here it is. Yeah, here, Chloe's world map, 2.9 years old. So almost 3 years old. It says here, whoever Don Shank was, what did he do? Must have done something. But this is the entire worldview of his daughter. And I thought it was just so interesting how that was mapped out, and it was kind of making me think, like, what is my worldview here? Not fully, because I know that I've been to a few places here that's probably not going to fit on a map well, but just for, like, daily routine, I actually don't know too much of Southern California. I've lived here for about 5 years now, but I still don't recognize how different suburbs are connected, so I'm always pinpointing places by things that I go to there. Like, I'll tell Steve it's near the Japanese marketplace, or it's near that cafe we went to for lunch on, you know, blah blah blah. I'm not actually quite sure what the places are, but I think in essence this kind of serves as the same thing, so I thought that would be really funny to pull inspiration from. It's a bit of an involved process, but still one of those really interesting things about journaling that is, you know, it's artistic, it's art journaling, it's that doing a really artistic version of capturing what is happening in your life, or a period of time, or a moment in time, or your understanding of your world, like that type of stuff that I really love to document, that it's an extension beyond just stating what happened in your day. And I did this more recently. Actually, I'll grab it for you. I guess it was kind of a version of it, if I'm honest. I don't know if it's this journal, is it? I think it's this journal, actually. I did, like, my day at Disney, and I kind of mapped out the things I would typically do in a day at Disneyland, like as I would enter, where I would go, what I would see, and what I would do, what I would eat, and like the routine and the structure of my visits to Disneyland. Because I was always doing the same thing. I'm a bit of a creature of habit. If you don't know that about me, you know that now. Here it is. I called it my Disneyland routine. And so when I would come in, and I'd usually go and see the Castle Fantasy Fair show, I'd get a churro from the stand just outside of the castle, go through the castle. I wouldn't pick up a balloon, but inside I would feel like I did. I'd make my way over to see Mickey and the Magical Map. So in the same way, this is a very simplified version of it. I like this idea of documenting this style. This to me is like that really great intersection between art and journaling, where you're actually capturing something that is really relevant and personal to you, in just a really fun and artistic way that is fun to look back at. And then I was talking on Art Journaling the Magic, I think, yesterday? Today's Saturday. Yeah, yesterday, last night. And just saying, like, you know, it was interesting because at this point we were right in the middle of lockdown, and I had put all of this on here kind of commemorating that routine. But since lockdown and shows had, you know, been cancelled, and now Disneyland's reopening again, it looks a little different. This actually isn't the routine that I will have anymore, because some of these shows just don't even exist anymore. So it was actually a nice way to kind of, you know, timestamp that. This is a very specific part of, you know, a routine that I had for years, and now that's going to change. Would I remember that if I didn't document it? Probably not. I don't have the best memory for all of that stuff. I'll remember an argument we had 4 years ago, but I will not remember, you know, just, I guess, mundane day-to-day kind of routines. But it is really fascinating, actually, to look back on, because I think these show, not specifically Disneyland, but like your life routines. Sometimes when I've gone back and contrasted, you know, what I was living like at 25 and what I was living like at 27, what I was living like at 29, it really pinpointed areas that I'd kind of, you know, backslid in certain ways in my life, and then areas that I'd improved on, that if I hadn't taken the time to document all of that, I don't think I'd have a really good gauge on just how much I'd improved or how much I'd kind of, you know, regressed in certain ways. So I really like that about art journaling. I mean, I like the words too, but I'll be honest, I don't typically go back and read a lot of the stuff that I write. I have, but I don't make it a mission to. So visuals like this are such a great way to document that stuff. Anyway, that's not what you're here for, I don't think, but I'm going to not use this book, because I was going to do Monsters, Inc. Okay. Why am I in like a frantic rush today? I'm literally not. I don't know why. So, here we approach the main characters. I really like this study here. This might be fun, actually. Maybe I'll do this. I'm just going to start. Why not? Let's just get into it. What book is this? This is The Art of Monsters, Inc. It's very difficult to find, so hopefully you can find one, if you're looking for it, that's cheap and available. Because I could not. I just spent a bit of a pretty penny to get that one. Would I say it's worth it? No, probably not, to be honest. I love a lot of the art of books, but for the amount that I shilled out for that one, I wouldn't be recommending. I justify my Mary Blair purchase, though. I do think that one was worth it. Also, not that this is not, but you don't want to spend that much money on books. Especially because that one was secondhand. This Monsters, Inc. one was secondhand. I don't even think it came with the dust jacket. Alright, so this paper is tone. Well, I mean, it's black and then there's a purple on top. So I'm going to do both of those things. Oh, I want to use my dagger brush today as well, so let me bring that out. I'm only going to do a small little area. Oh, this black is just leaking everywhere. I'm going to do a small study. I'm using acrylic gouache. I'm going to paint out a little patch of black on my page. I'm not pre-mixing the consistency of the gouache because I don't really need the best coverage, since I'm using this as my area, and then I'm going to paint another patch of colour over the top of it, so it's kind of like the black is the paper, and then there's a layer of paint on top of that. I'm literally just going to try and copy it, I guess. Use the textures of my brushes or my supplies to get that effect. I'm going to put my heat tool in, give it a bit of dry. Hope you're all having a great day. Don't be afraid to ask questions in the chat. I'm here to answer anything. But I'm also just here to have fun. Sorry, I'm chomping down on my butter menthol. Pending I don't actually lose my mind on the stream and do something unforgivable, I will try and upload this to my blog later. Okay. It's the one thing I don't like about using dark colors is that your water is instantly turned. This is a palette I use for my regular gouache. Should I challenge myself to use normal gouache? It's always risk. This is regular gouache. I'm going to squeeze some white into here. I generally like to use white to reactivate some of these dried gouaches because they can be a little thin when they reactivate from the cakes, and the white just kind of boldens them up a bit, makes them a little bit more opaque. I'm going to try and remix the same kind of purple. When I'm doing studies, I don't tend to try and make it my own. If it happens, that's a bonus, but I don't make that my mission because the point is to understand what's going on in the piece and to learn by doing. And my intention, if I was trying to make it my own, I'm suddenly adding another intention in there, which is not bad, like I said, but I've more recently become aware of the fact that, like, if you're learning something, you don't need to make it the most challenging thing in the world. Just give yourself a chance to learn it and then start adding in your challenges. So I don't really know what I'm learning out of this. I just wanted to give it a go and see if my brain took me anywhere, but we're right at the start of our kind of exploration process. And typically, if you've ever seen any of my sketch flixes before, the first few things I do are very do what I see. And, you know, once I'm in the process, I start to get curious, and that's usually where I start to learn by experimentation. So this is, I start by learn by copying, learn by doing, then I'll start learning by experimenting. Thanks, Betsy. I'm very excited too. I'm excited that I can actually start sharing it. It's such a chore to keep it to myself for so long. But I'm really excited I can start sharing. Let's make a Mike Wazowski green out of this. Ooh. Actually, I don't mind having it more of this minty green. This is that dagger brush I got from Art Snacks. I love it. He's just a circle. And I'm not going to try and make it too perfect. I think that's good. That mint looks really pretty on the purple. And Sully is kind of a teal. Do I have a color like that? I'm not sure. Maybe if I mix it in here, I'll get something similar. No, he's like an electric blue, maybe. I might try some of this. Uh-oh. I've not got a palette, and I really can't be bothered trying to get one, so I'm going to do what I do sometimes and put it on the top of this gouache lid. It's fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. kitty! Yeah, I love Boo. So cute. Okay, it's not the right blue. I'll go lighter. We all know your struggles giving away clues is the best. I can't believe a few times I was very close to giving it away. And then at one point I was like, oh, I'm just going to say it. Which, thank goodness I didn't, because I'd actually changed my mind again. That was a while ago. And I was like, surely I won't change my mind, but you just never know with me. Well, that's actually nice with the different tones. I might leave that dry brush stroke over Mike. This is a little thick for gouache, so I'm going to thin it out by just dipping my brush in water. I can't scrub too much because that purple is regular gouache and it will reactivate. But I think that's going to be fine. I mix way too much, what a waste. I'm not going to waste that actually. Waste not, want not. I'm going to grab the rest of it and just paint a new area to use for something else. Even if I just make a big Sully out of this one. Fun fact, his name is James P. Sullivan. And my name is James. So it was meant to be. There we go. Oh, do you know what? I should have done it in my, I should have done it in this book. I love using this toned book. Maybe I'll switch. I might switch later. Okay. Right off that brush. So we've got that. The only other thing it looks like it's got going on is... Oh, do you know what? They don't even look like... That doesn't even look like gouache. It looks like paper that's been cut out. Unless he used tape or something. Interesting. It's a black crayon or a black marker or something, and then some white pencil or crayon. I want to use something pretty opaque. I'm not sure how bold the white pencil's going to look on this. Oh, look, can you see the gouache is cracked? This is what we say about not putting gouache on too thick, is that it's got cracks in it. It's not the end of the world, but sometimes it can chip off your book. Which isn't ideal. Let's grab a white pencil and a black pencil. Let's see what we can do with that. I've got Faber-Castell Polychromos here. And the white, there's two little white horns. And this is all scribbled, which is nice. We love to scribble. A big smiley mouth with 3 teeth, 3 triangle teeth up there, and then 2 eyes. And Mike has a big eye here. This is not the boldest white. It looks good on the purple, but these colors are too light, I think. I might have to get out the paint marker. The black should be fine. Yeah, that's fine. An arm, he has little spikes. And 3 little toes. I like all the scribble stuff. Not because it's easier, but because it keeps me looser and it keeps me freer. Which I guess is because it is easier, but I don't like it for the purpose of being lazy. I like it for the purpose of keeping me freer and looser, because the more I try to do something with a lot of detail, the more intense the process can become, and sometimes I find myself just irritated by that. Like, I don't want to expend the energy to do all of that. So it doesn't matter that it's hard, but maybe I'm not in the mood for it to be hard. Does that make sense? So, I've got a Sharpie here. I'm going to use the Sharpie. I'm still going to scribble. See how much bolder that is? That's much better. Scribble his eyes in. I really love Monsters, Inc. And I really love Monsters University. It's such a good sequel. It gave great context to Monsters, Inc., which I think is a really nice thing for a sequel to do. Sometimes I'm not super interested in sequels that extend beyond what I already know, but more add appreciation for the story I was told in the original movie. So things like The Little Mermaid 3, Ariel's Beginning, I actually really liked that one because it set up why music was important in the kingdom, and I thought, oh, that's nice. Sounded really disingenuous. Oh, that's nice. No, I really did like it. It was nice. I'm gonna have a sip of water. But I think we did well. I mean, it looks like the inspiration, so yeah, I guess the thing I learned was that the white pencil doesn't really show up well on this. The colours were too light. Oh, I didn't put the purple spots on. And I forgot his texture, his fur texture. It's a bit late for that, but I can put some purple spots on. I might do it with a pencil. This is the Holbein artist coloured pencils. These are really nice. There we go. And then we've got this version of Mike and Sully here that are just bold marker studies. I think it's just to kind of show how not angular, but how geometric their body shapes are. So I'm going to try and grab a marker and do the same thing. Do you know what? I might actually do it with a brush marker. I really like using brush markers. They're a much more interesting line. And this is Sully, so I'm going to use this big black, blue block of colour to do my marker study on. It's a rectangle head. It's got a big rectangle body. Kind of looks like Frankenstein. Little squiggly fingers. And we'll run those train track arms back up. And then 2 block legs as well. This is a really simplified version of Sully. His teeth stick up. I like that. I like monster teeth that stick up out of the mouth rather than down. Not that I really care to accentuate that preference, but a lot of the time I'll gravitate towards up. And then 2 little eyes. And then his little horns. Yeah, I mean, that's him. I'm gonna do his Sully, his Mike next to him. When I'm using my brush pen, I really like to practice using the taper of the stroke, so I'm really switching up the pressure I have when I use it. Which is nice. Can you see this bold stroke on this edge, and then the bold stroke is on the inside there? I just think it's a really interesting effect that, you know, you can really only get with these tapered brush pens. And he doesn't have any color on him, but I'm guessing we could do a bit of a negative fill. Sometimes I like to say this is sharpening an image, because you have a chance to go over anything and redefine the edges. I wouldn't really do it for a marker illustration like this, but if I'm doing a mixed media painting, I don't always paint the background, but if I do, typically it's because I wanted to reshape the outline, give it a much more defined edge, or say I've gone too thick with a neck or something, I'll use that as an opportunity to come and carve away at that, because you can go over your edges and reinstate what you would like that line to look like. Oh, I'm fighting with the thread of the book. I should just paint it in. I'm gonna paint it in and see if it sticks. We'll test the binder in this gouache. There we go. It's a really simple hack, but negative, like coloring the negative space is just a great way to color something without actually having to fill it in. Because you're adding color, but you're not adding it to your piece, your character, your actual drawing. So you don't have to stay in the lines. You can just do whatever you want outside the lines. You could even create a different silhouette on the outer edge. Like say you could do a building or something. Hi everyone, welcome, happy weekend. Your favorite is Buzz. Oh, I've just done a Buzz. I can't show you because I'm going to give away too much, but I'm very excited for the Buzz that I created. Yes, you caught a YouTube live. I didn't really say anything. I think I put it on Instagram like 5 minutes before I got on, but just doing a bit of studies of Monsters Inc. today. I'm so hyped for the Lamplight Cruise too, I know. You've already got your costumes. I've started getting mine, so I've started arriving at the house, and Steve and I have been working on a part of a project for the photography. Honestly, it's so ridiculous the amount of effort we're putting into this one part of the photos that, like, I already know it's just not even. I'm not gonna say it's not gonna be worth it. It'll be totally worth it, but it's such a small, minor detail that we could have totally gone without. But once the idea was said out loud, it was almost like, well, we have to try it. Like it'll be nice. We want to try it. So I have been working on it for days. Steve's been working on it for days. Yeah, we're really excited for that. It'll be so stupid when you see it. You'll be like, why did you spend all that time on that? But I'll know it was worth it. I'm also going to put big circle spots on this Sully. One of my other tricks when you're doing this really loose work, and you don't want it to look super, juvenile is going to be the wrong word, but I'm going to use it, so cancel me if you must. But if you don't want it to look super juvenile or amateur, is to play with the level of finish in the actual illustration. So we did a very rough job of doing the outlining, but if some of the detailing you put into it is very refined, very clean, and very neat, you're going to start to play off of the idea that it looks like a 5-year-old did it, but a 5-year-old also wouldn't be capable of that level of detail that you've added to it. So you're more playing on the expectation of what the viewer's eyes are trying to pull apart, and that is a big part of a successful illustration that makes someone kind of invested in the look of something. I think as far as, you know, unique styles go, is how well you can balance and juxtapose those different approaches to the rendering. That those are such random big words. I hope I can remember to say that in Virtual Voyage. It's a free tip for now. But yeah, it really does start to do something, because your brain doesn't expect to see all of that together. And a lot of the things people will consider successful are the things that kind of challenge their expectations and perception and their visual memory. And we see a lot of children's art, and we see a lot of art attempted in a really crude style. Crude is also the wrong word. What am I looking for? Primitive? I think I'm missing part of my vocabulary because it all sounds very wrong. I'm not trying to say it's bad at all. I really love it. I think we see a lot of it, and I think a lot of it is super useful and super handy in getting us loosened up. Like I said at the start, I don't, in certain moments, I don't want to be struggling and laboring over specific details. But yeah, since we're exposed to a lot of it, we have a lot of a visual memory for it. And so when those expectations aren't challenged, sometimes we can just put it into another category. It's not even to say you have to do that. I'm just saying, if there are people out there that wonder, how do you take something that looks a little childlike? Maybe that's the word I was looking for. If you wanted to take it from childlike to a bit more of a professional illustration, or something, not even that. Childlike can be professional. If you want to take it to a place that demonstrates more skill, this is a way to add it in. Very simple way to add it in, I might add. There are tons of other ways to do it too. But texture is a great way. Shadow can be a great way to do it as well. It's always unexpected in children's illustration, so even to take a shadow into your work. It's not even a super like, I don't even think it's like a full lesson you could make out of something, but it is just kind of a hack that, you know, I don't use very often. So I don't remind myself to tell everyone. Pattern, texture, light and shadow. Yeah, I guess anything a child wouldn't think of. So maybe an interesting color palette, or even certain supplies. There are certain supplies we just wouldn't really give to children. So even the supply you use, even done in a amateur style, can evoke that same sense of confusion in the viewer. All right, I'm gonna check the chat. What's your inspiration book, James? I looked for some Pixar books, couldn't decide. Oh, okay, so this one is The Art of Monsters, Inc. I essentially have all the art of. So I have The Art of Coco, The Art of Monsters, Inc., The Art of Inside Out, and The Art of... Oh no, I have Toy Story Films, An Animated Journey. This one here. This one's huge. This has got like... This is not like just an art book. This is kind of a Toy Story book. And then I have this one. I think if anything's going to be the most useful, ironically, it doesn't really have an artistic approach to it, but the Pixar Character Encyclopedia. I've been using this a lot, and this is also great if you're going to take some of the lessons and cross-theming. Actually, you know what? We'll do that right now. How about that? Catch me outside. Let's cross-theming here and choose a theme that we don't have for Virtual Voyage, and we'll attempt it the same way we did this concept art, and just see how much we actually learned to be able to transcribe that. I'm thinking WALL-E, because WALL-E's my fave. And I know I hate space, so let's not start the conversation, but... Do you know the other night, I literally almost threw up in bed thinking about space? I got myself started on it, and I couldn't stop. It was awful. Oh, existential crisis. Naive, thank you, Victory. Oh, naive, that's the adjective. I'm glad I just really offended everyone with all the other adjectives I came up with. Rudimentary, childlike, organic, those are really great. Thank you. I am so sorry to everyone that I offended with that. Oh, I should write those words down just in case I forget. Alright, so WALL-E. I think we can also do, you know what, I'm going to switch it out because I need a toned paper. I'll keep this here though so we can pull style reference from it. Can't show you anything on here that I can't show you. Sorry about that. It's not just my work these days either. I'm popping up in Mindy Lacefield's Illustrative Flair class, which was a boon, and then also Art Snacks. I can't really show any of that before it happens, so I'm forever hiding things. It's not as glamorous as you would think. Every time I pick up a journal, I have to consider whether I'm about to be exposing something. Let's use acrylic gouache. I have nil interest in challenging myself with regular gouache right now. I'm going to put a bit of violet into this because I want kind of a really deep purple background, I think. That'll really contrast nice with the yellow of WALL-E. To get the best contrast, it's always good to go the opposite ends of the spectrum with your colors. So if you want to really pop orange, use a blue in your background. If you want to pop red, use a green. Things like that. Yellow and purple are opposite each other on the color wheels, so they'll pop really nicely. You can see it right next to each other there. I'm just making a bit of a darker shade by mixing black. It's giving me a really nice, deep violet. Love it. Alright. I'm going to do again. I might go bigger. Go big or go home, right? That way I can fit WALL-E and Eve in. Love Eve. This is probably a small brush because since I changed my mind to go big at the last minute. But it's okay. I like the dry brush look on my edges. it looks like I was very carefree, which I do aim to be, but I mean, we're live. You can tell when I start to get finicky. And there's no shame in that. It is just a part of the process. I don't want it to be, because sometimes I do set out with a very specific intention, like to work on my confidence with gouache, and so it does fly against my intention if I start to do that. So when I say things like, oh, don't do that, I'm generally telling myself, because I've chosen to work to a different expectation. But I'm a firm believer in everyone should just do whatever makes them happy. And then some people don't know what makes them happy yet. And that, in that case, I just suggest follow along until you get to the point where your brain's saying, I don't like that, and then take that detour. Alright, I think that's alright. I might also want to do like a bit of blue. Maybe? Yeah, just like a little bit. Just a touch of a blue, kind of dry brushed in the background. I'm gonna dip this brush in, but I don't really want it to get too wet. Jodie, you're intrigued to know the artist? Well, I can tell you. One of the artists is Rune Naito, and I think I confused a lot of people when I was doing my Japanese studies last month. Which was not my intention, but then I thought, oh, what a fabulous red herring. Because a lot of people's guesses for the course was a Kauai cruise, which honestly, as if I'm not going to do that one day. But it wasn't today. It wasn't for this summer. It was a great guess though. I didn't realize I'd confused everyone until that point. I'm just running some textured lines through this. Just before I start, just so there's a bit of extra dimension to the background, it's not just one note. I might even grab some minty green, just for it to show up a bit better. There we go. Gotta get those textures in layers. This is something I teach in my lesson for Mindy Lacefield's Illustrated Flair course, which I think is coming out the 24th. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's already in the schedule, so I'm excited for that, because that one's I've had done for a long time. Rune Naito is one of the artists, and yeah, I did a lot of studies of his work. He will pop up in Monsters, Inc. Yes, I'm very excited. I hope we get to see your story in the style of Mary Blair, also selling. Oh, Toy Story? I'm not going to say anything. Have you been sneaking peeks at my books? Okay, so what we have here is basically their most simple shape. So I'm going to have a look at WALL-E. I have the book here. So I'm trying to get it on screen for you, just in case you are following along and you want to know where this is all coming from. I might even do a little sketch of a really simple shape for WALL-E. Put this hand clip on, because I don't know where my other clips have gone. So for WALL-E, he has, in his most basic form, and a good tip for really trying to simplify something and not overworking with too many hard shapes is to draw it in miniature. And when I say miniature, I mean miniature, because you're not going to try and add all the unnecessary details. So I'll put my little miniature down here. There you go. And what I've essentially drawn in miniature was those two teardrop shapes, a rectangle, a square, and two triangles. Now, this didn't worry about dimension or kind of a 3D aspect, so I'm not going to worry about this here as well. It's basically flat block color, texture, which I forgot, but I ended up putting on later, simple black and white line work that is also scribbly. So those are the features of that style that we're going to try and emulate. And as with everything, if I can talk it out simply to myself, I try to just replicate the process I've just said. This will be all something we go over in Virtual Voyage, so I'll do my best to upload this replay to my blog if you want to watch it again later. But yeah, it's no huge secret at the end of the day, is there? Once you know the tricks. What does Diane Ridley say? It's easy once you know how. I do believe that. Yes, Christine. I inadvertently just answered your question. Uh-oh, I put the acrylic into the wrong one. Whoops. Well, I'm going now. It's fine, it's a ceramic palette. I can peel it out if I need to. I've got to do my Wally small over here because I'm going to put my Eve over there as well. So I'm going to do his square body. Also a feature of that style was that it wasn't very, they weren't accurate shapes. Like they weren't labored over. They were a touch wonky. So there's my Wally. Let me grab my dagger brush, which I'm loving. Oh, that makes a really good eye for Wally. The taper of this brush is just unreal. I love it. I'm gonna need to be a bit more messy. I'm only going over this a few times, and I should probably have just added some white to the yellow because this yellow isn't the most opaque for this background, but it's already looking a little overworked, so I have to stop myself there. And we've got to get some grey triangle legs on him. Great, I got some black on the back of my book. I knew I would do that. It's alright. I love Wally. Obviously, I mean, space aside, and I can deal with it because it's fake space, but also just the thought of like everyone living in that space station also just gives me such anxiety. I really do have to suspend a lot of disbelief to watch Wally, but he's so precious. Alright, triangle. I'm still getting used to this dagger brush, so perhaps I can just lean into the fact that these shapes aren't going to be as carefree on this version. There we go. I might put some of that on the eyes as well. So Wally has some texture on him. I'll put some of those strokes, like I forgot with Sully. There you go. He also has a red E on him that kind of sticks out as a logo, so I'm going to put a little red dot down here just to really pull it together. And then Eve is just, she's just her shape, right? Actually no, she's two shapes. There's different types of Eve. There's Eve all like shut down, very me. Or there's Eve happy flying around, or there's possessed Eve. Who should we go for? I'm going to use a round brush so that I can be a little bit more in control of that shape. I don't think the dagger brush is going to help me for this one. But she's white, so I'm just going to do... She's got this shape. What do you call that? I like to call it a gumdrop. Gumdrop head. go. And kind of a U-shaped body. Again, just quick, not too fussy. Little arms. Oh, I didn't do Wally's arms. I'm a fool, Kim. He needs arms. Mix some of that yellow with that white, I think. They can hold hands. I don't love the background now, but it's probably a little too late to change it. Dome, that's a good shape. It always reminds me of a gumdrop. But I want to say dube, because my I mean, they're called dubes, but that's what I know gumdrops to be. And Eve has black monitor on her face, same shape. What I'm actually thinking is, since I don't love the background, I could go and add a texture in the background, just kind of redraw over the top of it. Which I might do, I mean, we've got nothing to lose. And again, learning about all the styles and like having the approach and learning about that is just so that we can give ourselves, first of all, education. We want to learn it, but then we also want to encourage ourselves to think beyond that and to take the techniques and to apply them a bit more intuitively. So if my brain is ever saying, oh, try this, then that's what I want to go and do. Yeah, covered in sugar. I know, she always had dupes. She loved them really, really, really tough as well, like really chewy. It'll always remind me of my gran. Let's grab... Well, you know what, we should finish up the details on them first. Because there's a lot of texture on this already, and a few different colors, like our color palette from Mike and Sully was a lot simpler. You can already see we've started to exaggerate some of our choices here. I could have gone as simple as that. Maybe I already took myself too far. It's okay. I'm going to do the same black and white scribbly details, but this time with a paint marker, just so it pops a little bit more, because I don't trust that you'll be able to see it very well. And I'm not trying to add too many details, just the ones that will read. Put the little E in there. I guess I could put Wally. I'm already adding too much. I know it. Everyone's screaming at the screaming at the thing, being like, it's too much. It's okay, I've started now, and what is in motion cannot be undone. So we're just gonna have to go along for the journey. He has to have lots of cute little stars in his eyes, because he loves Eve. And Eve, she has blue. I'm going to use blue. She doesn't really have many details. She's very streamlined. She's very designed by Apple, I'm sure. And that one thing she does have is she has a little green leaf. So maybe I'll put that on there. There we go. Eco Warrior. Now I want to fix the background a little bit. I could do it with a paintbrush. Should I just go in with the black? Or whatever? It's going to take away some of my looser edges. Should have done it with a pencil, maybe. It's just supposed to be a night sky. It's not necessarily supposed to be space. This is confusing now. What should I get? I'm trying to look at this gouache I've just got over here. Oh, I've got glitter. Glitter can always help. Let me use this blue. Whoops! That was a lot. Don't use that much. Now I'm going to have to spread that around. Oh, that's so much. What a waste. Alright, well now we'll get to look at that carving process that I was talking about earlier. I'm going to push it all around up to the lines that I can keep straight. There we go. You know what, this will be its own effect. We'll see what happens. Anything I need to go over again, I'm sure I can give it a little punch. Can you see how I'm redefining the edges with my brush? I'm kind of enjoying doing it with this brush because it's a little too big for me to get fiddly with. And it's got a beautiful flat edge. So I'm getting really nice, defined, straight lines. Maybe they're flying in the daylight sky this time. I just don't want this to dry too quickly because it's going to crack. Which, you know what it is? It's the, it's regular gouache, so don't worry about it. We can reactivate it with water even if it starts to crack. So we'll actually be fine. It's just a lot. It came out so quickly. Might change that dagger brush in a second because I'm getting a little close to all those smaller details in there. Thank goodness I used the acrylic gouache before, because now it's not reactivating underneath this. Alright, there we go. Oh, you know what? I'll use this round brush. I've really shaved off the edges of all of these. This poor Wally. I watched Halston last night, the Netflix Ryan Murphy little mini-series. I thought it was good. Very dramatic. A little over the top, but it's Ryan Murphy, so I mean, I could have guessed. I guess all I'll say is it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, knowing that story already. So, don't watch it with children is my advice if you're going to watch it. Very, very adult themes. But I'm so excited for Cruella. I've already looked into trying to get tickets. Very excited. Cruella's one of my favorite villains. She is probably my favorite villain. Just don't know if I want to go on record actually choosing one, but it would be Cruella. Okay, let's try this and see what we can do with some pencils now. Alright, I'm gonna go back through the chat. See what I've missed. Hello, question for New Virtual Voyage. Can my kid participate? Of course, yeah. The more the merrier. We, it's Pixar themed. I mean, it's gonna be very family friendly. We don't ever usually, I mean, in Virtual Voyage 3, we did have a few more, like the movies were a bit more adult themed, but these are all Pixar films, and everything I have planned is suitable for any age, I would say. The square gets bigger and bigger. I know, it's huge. Oh, spring formal. It's graduation season, right? Happy graduation, everyone. Yeah, look, I've tried to not watch too many of the videos online because I know that they keep doing this thing where they just want to spoil everything. And I don't want it to be spoiled, so this is a little dry. So I try not to watch too much of the trailers, but I've seen enough to keep me excited. Right, I'm going to try and scribble over some of this with a marker now to bring back some of the shapes that I lost. And I don't mind if this is messy, because this will bring back some of that messiness that we had before we painted over everything. I think I have paint markers for all these colours, so we should be fine. The yellow might not be super opaque, but we'll make do. I can't push too hard because it's going to react with the blue. That gouache is regular gouache. Oh, goodness. It's just problem after problem, isn't it? Might have to get the pencils out. That's right. I think all the problems are helping add some fun decision-making processes that are ultimately going to make this very layered and very textured and very fun. And if not, we will learn what not to do for next time. Which can be just as valuable as knowing what to do. Let me grab my other... Because I keep all my paint markers in this old Patreon mailer box. So I have a lot of colours, which is very fortunate for us today. Oh, that just spilled. Whoops. There we go. Maybe I'll colour in his little chest piece. Go bigger eyes, much cuter. Redo face. Love her. Queen. Icon. Earth legend. Might do some more white in that body. So she can pop a little bit more. The thing I always don't like about drawing them together is I always get the proportions of Eve and Wally wrong, and I'm making Eve look like a giant. Because in reality she is bigger than him, but I don't like to portray it that way when I draw them because I don't think it's as cute. It's cute for Wally. I think he looks cute, but then I think she looks gigantic and crazy. So I always try to change that. Oh, bye, Victory. Have fun at the spring formal. Let's give this a bit of a dry. And I'm going to take some pencils, actually. I'll take some Gorgina coloured pencils and then kind of run that texture up in there as well. Bring some of that depth back. This is a deep green. These are Faber-Castell Polychromos, but I use a lot of the Holbein Artist coloured pencils as well. I'm essentially going to run a lot of deep jewel tones through the background here and let that texture play off some of the edges as well. Grab this purple or blue. What is this called? Helio Blue Reddish. Girl, that is trying to do the most. Pick a lane. What do you want to be? Blue, purple, or reddish? I guess all of it. I'm in a bit of a weird position right now because of the light. This is one of the downsides of having a ring light on, is that it gives you beautiful lighting to be able to see, but if you're at the wrong angle, the binder of your pencils or your pens, a lot of the time it's just graphite pencils and colored pencils, it's reflective, and so you can't actually see what it looks like, and you have to bend your head over, or I usually tip up my book like this so I can actually see the texture. Like, I didn't see any of that. For me to be able to see it, I need to draw at this angle. Then I can see the texture. But I think that's fun for anyone to watch, so we just fly blind, and then I fix it up at the end if I need to. Let's put some pink in there. It's just another layer of texture. I'll probably end up doing this with Wally and Eve as well. And then maybe put some stars in the background. Gouache is great for mixed media because it's so flat and matte that your pencils will just go over it really nicely. Oh, I might sneeze. I don't want to start a sneezing fit, so I'm holding it. Gouache is really nice for that. Acrylic, like matte acrylic paints are good for it as well. Anything that's matte, there's just a better tooth for your pencil to hold on to. But just because you've got the matte paint doesn't mean you can do more with your pencils. Your pencils are still your pencils, like you would use them on regular paper. So if your pencils aren't really good at layering on regular paper without paint, it's not like just using a matte paint is going to make that any better. It'll help you with the first layer that you put down. And I say that because I think a lot of people get recommended Prismacolor a lot, which are good pencils, but they tend to be very waxy. And so you've got about 3 layers, I would say, before you start struggling. And even then, you have to build those up quite slowly. The Polychromos Artists, the Faber-Castell Polychromos are oil-based. Well, they might be a blend. Are they oil-based and... I'm not quite sure, but they're not fully wax-based. Which means they have an easier time blending with each other. And I find it as a bit more forgiving for people who are impatient like me and could choose to spend the time to do lots of soft layers, but actually just go straight in with the pencil and just want to do everything in 2 passes. So they're a lot more forgiving for me. And the Holbein Artist Colored Pencils, I believe they might be a blend, but they're more like the Polychromos. They're a bit more oily. And they're actually very creamy. They will layer and layer and layer and layer and layer. And I love the pastels because the pastel tones, because there's just so much variety in that set. Okay, I'm going to give you a closer look so you can see what's really going on here. Hopefully it focuses. got a lot of texture. Oh, it says in the chat, Holbein is a blend. Yeah, I think they really nailed it with the Holbein ones, but they are pretty difficult to get your hands on. I believe one of the places sell them now, don't they? Dick Blick or Jet? I don't know if Jet Pens sell them, but maybe Dick Blick. There we go, put in a bit of yellow. And let me see if I can get some of this gel pen in here. I really just want to put his cute little glistening eyes back in. And this, I need this pen. That blue last time wasn't the right color. So this one's better. I like these Sharpie extra fine, but these pin type paint markers really get clogged easily, so I find them to be very, very hit and miss. But I do have a set of those Sharpie ones. Alright, let's just outline some of this. I'm missing some of that blocking. So if I just outline it loosely with a black pencil, it'll look... I can re-establish those shapes a little easier. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to put Eve's little emblem back in. I think I kind of like it without it. There we go. And I'm going to put some stars on. A sprinkle of twinkle. So this really took a detour from the original source inspiration, which, look, two things happen there. It's great, because it means that we're challenging ourselves and we're working with our interpretations and we're trying the skills, we're making sense of them in ways that are intuitive to us, and I think that's always something that deserves to be explored and, you know, it should be valued. The thing is, we can do that in so many different ways, and literally, I mean, it can depend on even your mood sometimes, how you interpret that. If I've just had a particularly fussy time with watercolor, I might not want to pick up watercolors, but in the end, maybe watercolor is the effect that would give me the look that I really, really do like. So your influences within yourself can always affect how you interpret the other influences that you're trying to work with, and all of that to say, I don't necessarily love how this turned out, truly. Like, it's just not my favorite. So, I would probably try it again, because I would want to know, you know, can I make it the way I want it to look? Can I achieve that? Is that something I even, you know, can tap into today, or am I just needing to move on and try something different? My intuition says I can do it if I just don't overthink it. And stick more with this, which I think I'm going to do. I'm going to try it again, I know, sorry. My biggest mistake was not staying with this book in the first place, I guess. I'm going to try it on this. I'm just going to do it the same way that I did the first one. I do believe I could get something closer So let's just do it as quick as we did the first one. And I'm just going to do Wally. I'm not going to focus on Eve this time. Put a little black square over here for our background. Doesn't need to be great because I'm going to put a color over the top. I'm going to put that purple. And I don't know if I need all the shapes that I did before. I just need a place to put the face. In this case, it both happens on that shape. I need a place to put the face, and then just whatever else happens, like legs and feet, they actually happen with just black lines. So I don't think I need to do, I think I just need the square and his eyes. I don't actually think I need the rest. That's a thought pattern I could have had before I'd started on the other one, but it didn't happen. Okay. Purple. Got this purple here. I'll dry this a little bit. I have so much beautiful gouache, and I always get so stingy with it. I don't know what my problem is, truly. Like, I'm afraid I'm gonna run out. Hey, Linda. Yes, I will. I'm going to learn. That's what my live sessions are for. I should do that before I get to Virtual Voyage and start teaching what I learned. But truly, I do this all the time. Okay, nice. I'm just speeding up the drying with my heat tool. I don't usually recommend it, but I'm a busy gal. What gouache am I using? I'm using a whole mixture. I am using, right now, it's the Turner acrylic gouache, and then also the Holbein Colors acrylic gouache. Both acrylic gouaches. Okay, I need the yellow. And I need to pump it up a little bit with some white. The white I'm using is from my Art Snacks box, and that was Royal Talons. It was nice. I do like it. Just always helps to beef up the color. Not even the color, sorry, the opacity. Great. Okay, so I just need the square. Can't get too carried away with it. And I need a place to put the eyes. Like that, maybe? Maybe just like that. I think I'm just gonna do that. I can kind of see it. Not the Arteza. Arteza? Yeah, no, not those. Those are good. I actually like those too, but they're a little, Here's the real gag. They're a little inaccessible for me because they're packed away in their box, and the others are all dried in a palette that I need to rehydrate. And since I've just bought the poster color paints, the Studio Ghibli ones, and these Turner acrylic gouaches, I've been using these just because they're easier to reach for. Isn't that wild? That's why I really don't believe, like, anything that you can't reach for at your desk, I really just don't even think you need it. That's just one thing that I have for sure learnt over time. If it's not next to me, it may as well not even be in here. And that's so sad. Okay, let's go for the black pencil. We gotta put in, so really it's only black and white, and he has, so Sully had this texture. I just don't even know if I need it, because this is not super opaque, so I'm almost getting a bit of a slight greyish texture through there. And the hands and feet are all stick things, so he's getting scribble triangle tires. He's got his white eyeballs. He actually has the reverse. He has black eyeballs. And then I have to put a white highlights in there. And then his arms. His little hook things on his arms. And they don't have much more detail than that. So I'm just going to put his little box thing on there, I guess. And then his name. I will put the little red dot on there. I liked the little red dot. But see, this is, again, I'm trying to learn a lesson here where I don't make the same mistakes. Watch me not learn that. Watch me not learn it and be like, oh, I wish I hadn't put the red dot there. I don't know what to tell you. I am who I am. They probably shouldn't have put that there. Whoops. You only live once. Alright, let's put on his white highlights. Cute. And any other... They had mouths. We don't have mouths. They had horns. We don't have horns. I'm just trying to think of anything else we could put on him, but I don't think we can. This would really be the only thing. And then the E inside Wally. He just doesn't look as defined. Do you know what I mean? I think maybe his tires need to, like, pop out with some scribbles or something. Oh no, I did it again. I put too much detail on again. I'm so annoyed at myself. I watched me do it too. I watched me tell myself I wouldn't do that. Would China pencils work? Probably. I only have a black one, and I think it's at the end, and I'm not really quite sure how to take the rest of the paper off, so I'm just going to give that one a miss. Hey Beth! Okay, so my real issue here is that this isn't distinct enough. I need to figure out. It just needs to be a box. It needs to be two triangles that I actually think are away from the body, so I'm not tempted to cover the body with them. It needs to be a tiny box too, and I think it needs to be bigger eyes up here. With possibly like the connector stick or something. And you can still have his little hook arms there. I feel like that would probably work better than everything else I've done up until this point. Let me try it one more time, and then I'm just gonna love and leave everyone and have a mental breakdown in the corner. No, I'm not going to. These actually, there's a technical term for this, and I've forgotten what they're called, but I think it's called tangents, and it's when you have illustrations, lines in illustrations that run so close next to each other they almost cause a bit of confusion. Not even necessarily confusion, they can just look fiddly and excessive. So this is a really good way to check sometimes how much sense your image is making is if you can make a silhouette of the image and still read what is going on. And especially for something super simple like this, you can read that silhouette. You might not be able to tell straight away that it's Mike and Sully, but it's really broken down. It's really blocky. Nothing is in the way. Here, the silhouette, unfortunately, turned into this, which is just confusing. So I think this is why I need to turn it into this and separate all those shapes so I'm not getting any weird lines that cross each other and make a confusing silhouette. Like especially here, I've now crossed over the square body, and so I've lost that shape. It's not a square anymore, it's a kind of pentagon upside down. So yeah, we really just need to separate those, and I think we'll have success. Don't quote me on it, I could still be wrong. But in my educated experience, I do believe a part of my problem is that the shapes aren't separated. Let's use this gouache. Oh, was the loud car guy here? I didn't hear him. I'm so mellowed out by the jazz music playing. My border is super dirty, so my colors are getting a little muddy. I'm not going to do anything about it, but I'm just telling you. Pop some white in there. I shouldn't do it from the tip because I always end up putting paint back into the tube. Going straight on the black this time. I'm going to do the little square. Keep it really simple. There we go. There's his little square. And now I have to do his eyes, which I'm just going to use a round brush and just use the depression of the brush, the taper of those bristles. Since this is about the size that I need it, I'm just going to angle it, and I'm going to stamp it into the page. Just let that be the shape of Wally's eyes. There we go. Make that a little stronger. I think I diluted my gouache a little bit too much. I won't try to make it more confusing than that. And instead of adding all that extra stuff, I'm just going to draw it with the white lines. So we don't have the purple background, which I could rely on to use to be able to distinguish the black arms. So this time, it's not a problem, we actually just flip it. Wherever there was a black line, we just make it a white line. So I'm going to make his little head this way, put his little arms out here, his little hands, and his triangle, legs. He just needs his black eyes. I need to dry that completely. I've also been putting his eyes really far away. I think they need to be put more in the middle. Put his little chest piece on. I'll put his little circle in the bottom there. And then I'll use a gel pen to put his pupils on. I think we have cracked the code. Goodness, we got there in the end, everyone. It's so much simpler than it ever needed to be, can you believe it? But it reads, it is simple, and it has that same kind of effect as that concept art there. In fact, we could probably make that a little scribblier and punch that up with some gel pen just to really pop it out, or the Sharpie. But yeah, we wanted a little scribblier, I think, and I think that totally reads as Wally in that really simplified way. Let's look at the journey we went on, because that was a lot. this was our original inspiration, which we just straight up copied from the Art of Monsters ink book right here. There they are. I think you can actually see, I think this was taped off and then painted, or it might just be a cutout, because this looks like paper cut out. So I think maybe the base of them might be paper, and then the gouache was added as texture on top. You know what, I'm almost convinced that it's paper, because you can see the pencil, the way that it transfers from that block shape to that color in the background. There's actually a line between that, and if it was flat, there wouldn't be a separation between that pencil. So I'm almost convinced this was, it only says gouache, and it's a 5 by 5 inch. It's probably about that size in real life. I think these are just cut out pieces of paper that they drew on top of. So we were really wrong from the beginning. I should have been a bit more analytical. Doesn't matter though. We had to go with it in gouache, so we've already made it our own, I guess. And I actually really like about that, I forgot some of the texture, but I ended up putting it in with pencil, and I like the broken line look. Also with the color not being a solid color. For years and years and years, I've always worried about gouache not being super opaque and not being able to get the right mixture, but I've actually found more of a love for it after studying a lot of Mary Blair's art, for being able to see a layer pop through beneath. So it's a nice minty color, but if you look closely, you're almost getting that show of purple through there. And to me, I actually think that's kind of fun, because it's that translucency of watercolor with it still looking very opaque. So, you know, you're kind of bordering two worlds there, I guess. So I'm leaning into that, I guess. But we went from there, and we thought, well, let's try that with WALL-E. This was our first attempt that had many iterations, and it ended up being my brain taking over and saying, you know, do this. You know you can fix it if you do this. Maybe you can do this and this will fix it. Maybe you can do... And this is me. This is typical me. Kitchen sink. More is more is more is more is more. I don't hate it, but I don't love it, because my expectation and my intention was set towards something different, which was to achieve this super minimalist style and portray a different character from one of these different movies, you know, do the concept art this way for a different movie. So we ended up trying it again, and then ran into the tangents problem and the problem of overcomplicating shapes, essentially squishing them all on top of each other, when what we wanted to do was splay them all out and show them next to each other. So rather than having the realistic look of WALL-E's tires attached to his side, actually taking them off that axis and two-dimensionalizing everything, but flattening it out. And we came up with something much more simplistic, probably overly simplistic now that I'm looking back at the other ones, but still, I think, quite successful for what we came up with. And, you know, who knew that it'd be such a journey to get to that? But it is the way. Sometimes that's just how it goes. Some people get there straight away, some people go on a journey like we did today. I don't think there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. I think everyone's just different, and that's kind of the fun of the process, right? Figuring it out, problem solving. I'm glad to have done that with you today, and I will take some photos and upload this live stream to my blog, so if you want to watch it another time, you can watch it another time, or I'll just see you again another time soon. If you have any questions actually about Virtual Voyage specifically, ask me now before I turn off the stream, so I can just answer those, and I'll be able to refer people to this video if they have the same question. I'll get set up for a little photo shoot here, little photo shoot moment. I like to take photos for my blog, but I'm still stuck in that, like, oh, make it pretty, so I'm going to cover up some of this junk down here that I don't need. I like to strategically place supplies everywhere so you can't see all of the mess and all of the fuss and bother. When can we sign up? The sign-ups will start in 2 weeks. Make sure you have your at least registered for any of the JLB Creative courses on Teachable before, or even the free ones, Merry Mixed Media, to get your return student coupon. They'll go out when registration opens. That'll be in a couple of weeks. When can we sign up? Sorry, I'm lost in the chat again. Are we going to learn to use gouache as well? It's not my specific... it's not what I'm going to specifically and intentionally teach, but I do imagine that gouache will probably show up. Yeah, I'm not really too fussed on what mediums people decide to use. I'll obviously explain all my tips and tricks for what I decide to use, but yeah, it's more style based rather than supply specific. Although sometimes the style, like the artist has a particular medium they favor, so I guess it does pop up in there. So yeah, we probably will use gouache. And I'll tell you what I know. I mean, you already know what I know. Struggle with the consistency, but overall I'm enjoying it. And the best way out is to use acrylic gouache, because really there's not too much you can get wrong with acrylic gouache. It's just more of an order thing, like the layers and which order you do them in. That's the trick. Can I pre-order? No, unfortunately, no pre-orders. Oh goodness, I'm so happy to not have pre-orders. They're the worst. I know they're good for you guys, and I'm really sorry, but I can only do what I can do. And even with Steve in the Etsy, I've considered it in the past because it's technically not my problem. But I can't imagine the amount of questions he'd have if he had to go through that. So, no, but I will put them up next week, and I do have anything that's popular and that sells out, I will order it again. Oh, and on that, this was, I guess I never said it, but one of them did not turn up with my batch, so that's coming. But I designed 5 of these washi tapes in red, yellow, blue. These are my Pixar primaries, the red, yellow, blue, like the Pixar ball. So these tapes were specifically designed, if you even look closely here, there's the little Pixar ball design, the little blue band with the red star on the yellow ball. Yeah, these ones were specifically designed in mind to use through Virtual Voyage. Even there it looks like a little Woody from Toy Story. So this one is more like crayons and sketchy. This one is more patterns and a little more painterly. These are watercolors and they're little stripes. And this one is a patchwork, kind of like a squares quilt. I'll have all the details on my website, but these were designed specifically for me to use in Virtual Voyage. I've altered the primary a little bit. Some parts are yellow and some parts are a bit more of an orangey yellow. I just really like the look of that. I know they're not specific primaries, but I was in a really heavy kind of like oranges as yellows Instagram filter mood when I was designing these, so that's what I got with. There's another one of these designs that didn't come though, and it's actually just watercolor, but it's just red, blue, and yellow, and they're longer strips, so it's a lot more simple than that. But I will reorder whatever needs to be restocked. Will you list some supplies you will use? Again, it's pretty much just everything that I have. I will grab it if I feel like grabbing it, so that's always best to check on the Amazon shop front. I have a Virtual Voyage specific section that lists pretty much the basics. But yeah, if I come across anything really specific, I'll let people know in the updates. How's your Disney journal since Yagni Mafi? Very good. I can't tell you, but I have been painting something else, and I mean, I guess I can tell you. I was painting the logo for Lightning McQueen, and the entire time I was thinking of Yagni Mafine, and it was just cracking me up inside my head. It will forever just give me such a good feeling. So it's funny you mentioned that. I've been laughing about it all day and yesterday. I just ordered $75 of Pixar books. Well, if you got a few of those for $75, let me know where you bought them from, because mine were not that cheap. I'm happy for your success. And I got mine secondhand. I couldn't believe it. I just got your washi in the mail. Love it. Oh, thank you, Lisa. I just use Library Lib to download the art of books. Oh, it's like a website thing. I'm not really good with any of that. I have a thing about the tangible experience of reading through the books, and I just have them on my shelf and I just love them. So even if it were easier to get them online, I have to have them in my hands and flipping through them and getting paint all over them. Steve gets really upset because I spend so much money on these books. They're an investment. That needs to be a VV4 exclusive with Yagni Mafine. Oh goodness, could you imagine? Designing a car from scratch. No references allowed. Like, we just have to I don't even know how to draw cars. So no references allowed, and whatever you come up with is the new model for Yatnimafine. I'll send them to my nephew. He'll love it. Do you know what? Turns out my nephew is really big into colouring books and stickers, which is just fabulous news for me because obviously that means we'll have lots to do whenever I get to spend time with him next. But yeah, who knew? I knew when I went home last time was a couple of years ago. He was very particular with how he'd peel off the washi tape, and what was so funny is I thought like he's a rough and ragged little boy, so I thought he'd just be going to town for 2 seconds and then left. He was sat there for about 15 minutes, and he specifically requested these scissors, and he wouldn't rip the tape off. He would pull the tape up like this and then chop off tiny little parts. And he thought these were scissors for kids, which I mean, I guess that makes sense, but it was just so cute, like how particular he was, how delicate he was, and yeah, I just thought it was so funny. I was telling his mother, my sister, that he might take after his uncle, which is great. So yeah, and I thought that was really funny. I was on the phone with her the other night, and he was proudly showing me all of his coloring books and all of his stickers that he uses, and he's like very particular with how he even stores his markers. Like when he's coloring, he has his markers all laid out like facing the same way, and they all have to be next to each other. He'll only take one at a time. He's very specific. So I'm excited for that. Another little artist in the family, I guess. Now you can make stickers. I know, right? Other books listed on your IG? No. The only ones I picked up specifically for this are the character encyclopedia, the Pixar one. That is super helpful, just because I don't have to go and chase down images every time I need to draw someone. I got the Toy Story films, an animated journey, and this one is here. Yeah. It's nice. It's just a lot about kind of the earlier journey through Pixar. And then this one was the one we were doing today. This is The Art of Monsters, Inc. This one I found was really expensive. And was it worth it? I don't know. I think if you really love Monsters, Inc., yes. I think there's a lot to take away from this, but if you were a bit more into monsters and you were looking for more inspirational art books, I'd probably tell you to save up for the Art of Tim Burton. I think that one would be a lot better. And then, oof. The other one I had was The Art of Inside Out. And this one is really lovely. I do like this one. Super fascinating. Especially with just all the different iterations of the characters that might have been. Knowing the movie and like knowing how much I enjoy it as it is now. Like for the longest time, Riley looks like she was supposed to be a little red-headed girl, like a little red-headed curly hair. Where is she? Look at all these different designs for Disgust. Like that is fab. Come up with my own little design. I thought this was really pretty too, the teardrop machine. It's hard to believe that people do all this incredible work and it doesn't actually make it anywhere. Thank goodness they make these books so that we can showcase it somehow. I thought this was really cute. This sadness. Just little 20s. I'm trying to find all the Rileys. And then I have The Art of Coco. That one's out in the living room. Thank goodness we have two, because you know Steve won't let me have his. Here is some of just the shape profiles of the characters to make them all different. I thought that was interesting. Sadness must have been pretty big for the longest time. Finding what it would all look like too, I guess I didn't realize just how many different looks someone's imagination could have. This one's been fascinating to look through. Oh, sorry, I really want to find it, because now I'm considering that I might not have actually seen what I have seen. How could that be? Bing bong. Oh, maybe it wasn't in here. Maybe I saw it somewhere else. I'm sure I saw it in here, though. I don't know. Anyway, there was a lot of great stuff in here to learn from, specifically for Virtual Voyage, so I won't try and give too much of it away. But a lot of this book will pop up in Virtual Voyage, because I got a lot out of that one. Love Your Outbooks. I am saving for the Tim Burton. It's such a good book, truly. I get in that mood around Halloween time, so I won't be in that mood for a few months. But my book just awaits me for when I'm ready for it, and I mean, it's endless. And I've been back to it so many different times, and depending on my mood, I see things that I've just never seen before. I swear. Even things I know I've definitely seen before, but some days I just get the urge to dive into that, and that's why I just love having all the books around, because there's always something that's going to jump out at me that day, and I want to try it. In any case, thank you for that. I'm glad I could answer some of those questions. I will, of course, let you know anything else that you need to know as the time comes, and I look forward to spending more time with you, either on live streams, on YouTube videos on Fridays, or seeing you around for Virtual Voyage in June, wherever I see you. Be well, have fun, and until next time, I'll figure out how to turn off this YouTube live stream. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.